What up, Cyber family? Look, I have to come clean right up front. I was wrong. I came in here for the better part of 2 weeks claiming that Jimmy Buckets himself, Jimmy Butler, was a top 5 NBA player. Now look, I love myself some Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler is a great player. I loved him back in Chicago when they were going against LeBron and the Cavs. I liked him. I was mad when he went to Philly, and I was glad when they didn't re-sign him. I was hoping that the Knicks would somehow get him, but of course, Knicks being the Knicks, it was whatever. I love Jimmy Butler. That's the point. So when I come in here and I say Jimmy Butler is a top 5 player, it's because I love his game. I love the things he does. I love the way that he impacts the game on all areas, gets his teammates involved, great attitude, old school mentality, that kind of get hit type thing, like unafraid of a moment, really go for it type of attitude guy. Gets rebounds, does all the dirty work, it's not a diva at all. Those are the reasons and the qualities that I love about Jimmy Butler. So when I come in here and I say Jimmy Butler's a top 5 player, I gotta be honest. As I reflect on it, I realize that a lot of that was just my fanboyism coming to the surface. The truth is I cannot put Jimmy Butler in the top 5 NBA player category for one simple reason. Not because he doesn't have the skills, because trust me, I will argue you to death that he has all of the skills and attributes to be a top 5 NBA player. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But consistency is what makes players great. If you remember, I was the one that came in here and said, why do we call Anthony Davis a great player when he's so inconsistent that you don't know from one night to the next what you're going to get? Well, if we want to talk about consistency, Jimmy Butler makes Anthony Davis look like a sure thing night in, night out, because Jimmy Butler has some games where he appears to not show up. Now, as a fan of Jimmy Butler, I'm not going to come out here and say that he's not showing up. I'm just going to say it was a bad game. But they do call him Playoff Jimmy for a reason, because during the regular season, he seems to be a different guy. Now, I thought, hey, look, if you're pacing yourself through the NBA season, the goal is to get to the tournament and then figure out what happens. I'm okay with that. There's a lot of guys taking days off, load management or whatever. So if Jimmy decides, look, I'm not going to go crazy for the entire season, I'm going to make sure that I pace myself so I have some gas left in the tank when it comes postseason time, got no problem with that. It's not like he's not selling anybody short. He's playing, but there's a different gear you get to in the playoffs, and he saves it for the playoffs. I'm not so much mad at that. But let's look at some of these numbers. So if you look it down, listen to these shooting nights. 11 of 24, 6 of 14, 12 of 28, 5 of 21, 9 of 21, 5 of 13, 12 of 25. All over the place. Some great games, some really bad games, some solid games, but it's up and down. Look at these point totals: 35, 16, 29, 14, 28, 13, 21. Up and down all over the place. If you're going to give me 35 one night, follow it up with 16, I can't put you in the top 5. If you're not going to be consistent day in and day out, and I know what I'm going to get in terms of production, I can't put you in the top 5. But make no mistake, I do think Jimmy Butler is a top 10 NBA player, but taking the fandom away and taking the fanboyism away and just being objective, I can't crucify Anthony Davis and claim he's not a great player because he's not consistently giving you those numbers and consistently showing up, because that's what greatness is. If you look at all of the great players in the history of the NBA, they all have one thing in common. They show up night in, night out. They don't cheat you. You never have. If you have an off night, it is rare. Even someone like LeBron, who I'm not the biggest fan of, and I don't think is my GOAT, but that's a different video. I will say, if you look at his career averages, 27, 7, and 7 is about what you're going to get night in and night out. There is no chance that LeBron James is going to have a stinker. He's going to give you 27, 7, and 7. That's what he's going to do consistently. That's why he is, in fact, a great player. Jimmy Butler has some high highs, like in the series against the Bucks, where he looked unguardable, unstoppable, looked like he was about to become the greatest of all time. To where now in these finals, at least in the first 3-4 games, he looks rather pedestrian. Now, like I said a million times, I love Jimmy Butler, but I can no longer pretend and be unobjective or be biased and put him in the top 5 when he hasn't earned that spot. So I was wrong. Jimmy Butler's not a top 5 player, but he's sitting squarely at number 6 in my mind. So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? How do you feel about Jimmy Butler? Are you disappointed in his performance in the finals so far? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time.